Good morning, everyone. I'm Martina Galli from POLI.design, and today I will be moderating the presentation of the Specializing Master in Premium Design Management. Please feel free to submit any questions you have, which we will address in the second part of the session. And now, let me introduce the speaker, Lorenzo Morganti. I leave you the floor.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all. Nice to see everybody connected. Let me just briefly introduce the master, which is at now its 10th edition, and you can see here, of course, the scientific director, the technical director, and the teaching coordinator that it's actually here with you speaking. And the main, of course, definition of this master is in the creation of a common ground between the world of design and the world of management. Namely, of course, during the courses, marketing will be analyzed, also thanks to the collaboration with a business school. And the idea is that of a sector, the one dedicated to so-called affordable luxury that we define as premium design, that is becoming more and more intertwined between, of course, the issues of both management and design, which is why the course is structured according to this common ground and this, of course, cross-sectional knowledges that are taught all together. The main goals is, of course, focusing on high-end products. We don't have a focus on fashion, but also fashion will be lightly, of course, analyzed during the case studies, in the best cases, and of course also in the examples. But considering that we are in Milano, so probably the most international and interesting area for design, namely I'm referring to the Design Week. We will also have, of course, focuses on fashion, to start, of course, from a general introduction to the history of design and fashion for those students who might arrive from different backgrounds. And finally, focusing on the icons, on the best production available here through the Made in Italy, that is to say, the world of luxury. The structure is organized, as I have already anticipated, with both theoretical and practical lecture that are, of course, the project works, and part of the theoretical lectures are taught by 24 Ore Business School, that is a school of management. So to say, we have, of course, the expertise of the professors from Politecnico, but not only professors, because also professionals, companies, and entrepreneurs belonging to the network of POLI.design are also invited and will join us during the lectures. And we will focus all together on the topic of design, while 24 Ore Business School will, of course, focuses on the teachings in the area of business management that are relating with an introduction to marketing for those of you, or for those students who will approach marketing in the luxury sector for the first time, then marketing, then customer relationship management, and licensing, that are the main areas that they will investigate. As you can see here, there is, of course, an overall amount of hours of 50 curricula hours in between the teaching hours, and of course also including the curricular internship, which is a very relevant part of the teaching process. The modules in terms of training are the one that you now see on screen. So we have a first introductory module that is dedicated to the pillars of design, which is including, for instance, the previously mentioned course dedicated to history of design and fashion. It's also focusing on the Italian and the European design system, and there is all of those activities that will happen at the very beginning, like the warm-up and the introductory meetings with both me and, of course, the other professors. Then we have three main areas according to the three most interesting areas in the sector of luxury, that are product and brand design, so focusing on the product at the core of a good quality high-end system. Then communication values, because we do believe that communication plays a key role, especially in times in which experiential design is becoming more and more important and is becoming more and more a part of the offer of these brands, luxury brands, to their final consumers. And then last but not least, retail and brand experiences, not only focusing, of course, on the online. There will be a short focus dedicated to online, but mainly dealing with brick and mortar, which still remains, especially within the luxury sector, the stronghold and the final touch point of the luxury brands with their loyal customers. Then, in terms of professional outcomes, as I said before, what we aim our students to finally get is to build this common language that will help them in the future to be part of a luxury company, not necessarily by steering their career, but by making, for instance, students coming from a background in economics, by making them more conscious about the relevance of a good quality product, and also asking them to deliver little concept projects, so to work hands-on, to experiment in first person what this would mean. And then at the same time, for all of the students that do come, that do share a background in design, we will of course clarify how today, especially within the world of luxury, having a very good quality product, unfortunately, is not enough. So it's an asset, it's a starting point, but then there is a wide variety of actions and also a wide variety of new knowledges that needs to be added in order to, of course, foster the success of this kind of productions. So one last thing about experiential approach. Today we are dealing more and more with experiences, so we will analyze also a few excerpts from the Experience Economy from Pine and Gilmore, which is indeed a foundational text dealing with experiences both in terms of marketing and in terms of design. And we do believe that these are also quite practical knowledge that will help the students, for instance, approaching a future in the field of event making. So not only marketing, not only, of course, a more conscious participation in the area of product production, but also a more conscious participation in the field of events creation for these companies. Why choosing this masters? This is, of course, as you can see here now, a master with a quite wide experience. So we have, of course, improved the format throughout the years, also thanks to the very precious suggestion that we received from our alumni and from our former students. So we made a sort of improvements, and we have also finally created a very, let's say, structured network of companies that are not only participating in the lectures, but that are also cooperating with us during, of course, the internship. And this is certainly a master that keeps an eye open towards the new professions and the new job positions that are now rising in the market, mainly relying with the field which is probably one of the most stable, that is the field of luxury. So in comparison to many other, of course, areas, and in spite of the little difficulties that the sector is facing over the last year, still this is one probably of the most reliable working sector and most promising sectors for the students in the next future. But I will now leave the floor to Martina for the selection process and for further very useful information about the master.
Yes, thank you very much. I'll take the floor again to provide more details about the application process for the next edition of the Specializing Master in Premium Design Management, which will begin in November 2026. On the Specializing Master webpage, on the POLI.design website, you will find the full list of required materials for the selection process, and by clicking on the apply button you will be able to create your personal account and upload the necessary files. The application will then be completed on the Politecnico di Milano website by uploading the documents related to your academic qualifications. And then if you need assistance during this phase, you can book a call by scanning the QR code that you find in this slide. There are two main steps to follow. The first one is the selection step, which must be completed no later than 60 days before the course starting date. And the second one is the enrollment step to be completed within 45 days. Please note that applications are processed in chronological order and spots are limited, so don't wait for the last minute. And then additionally, by uploading your documents, you will be eligible to participate in the next round of interviews scheduled for March 18th, 19th and 24th. You can find the course fee listed on this slide, along with our promotional policy designed specifically for this program, an initiative to support the design potential of those who choose POLI.design. In particular, I'd like to highlight the early bird promo with variable discounts until all places are filled and the partial exemptions of 15% in memory of Gianluca Spina, valid for applications received by April 17th, 2026. Let's now move on to the Q&A session, and let's start by reading the questions we received in the chat room. So, first question. Which type of projects are developed during the program with the companies? Can I have some examples?
Well, you actually saw an image while passing. One of the several projects that we have was, for instance, this pilot project with Longines. I guess you know probably the brand, the watch brand. And in this case, the students had to focus on their flagship store in Milano, so providing a new approach for the flagship store for an event. And it was a cross-sectional product link in communication, marketing, together with a little tiny product project dedicated to the packaging, the new packaging, but also the in-store display, so also connected to retail. And this is one of the projects that they did. But to get back to the areas, because as I said before, there are three main areas that actually lead the main project. So there's one project work dedicated to the area of product, one project work dedicated to the area of communication, and one project work dedicated to the area of retail. Of course, there are some also further projects like the one I mentioned that we consider as cross-sectional, because in this case they are crossing the three main areas altogether. But we still keep, of course, also a hands-on activity delivered inside the classroom, so in a safe environment where students can cooperate together. And generally, as a way of an example, the students might be given a brief, sign a brief in order to define and to deliver a new pop-up store for a luxury brand in the city of Milano during the design week. This could actually be an average, of course, possible assignment. And of course, as far as the companies that from time to time join us, these are actually varying every year. So last year we had Longines, this year we have Sabat, that is a high-end furniture brand. In past time we have also had other companies from very different sectors, including fashion. Therefore it's quite unpredictable for us which will be the company, but the structure will remain the same. So we might still have cross-sectional project, and we might also have, and we will also have, three main areas, so communication, product, and retail. Retail deals with the brick and mortar store. Communication, as you can imagine, is generally about branding, so from the corporate image of a big brand also to the launch of a new startup. And then, as far as product is regarded, we have also seen many different experiences. One of the experiences that we shared this year was with Alessi, that is dealing with homeware, and it was a little tiny pilot project, but quite interesting in terms of outcomes. I hope that I answered the question.
Yes, thank you. Then, after premium design management, what kind of job positions in luxury companies can international students from outside Europe expect, and how does the European market look like in 2026-2027?
Well, too difficult, but very interesting.
Yeah.
But very interesting question. So the first thing, I think I introduced this quite briefly before when I said that the aim of the master is not to steer the career of a student. That is to say, your background is an important part, of course, of your training, but also of your future career. We have also seen students coming, so to say, from the field of design and then move into marketing because they found out during the masters that they loved the sector and that they wanted to change their career. But this is not I mean, it's not happening quite frequently. Mostly, we generally expect, as I said before, students entering luxury brand, but with a much wider understanding. And of course, we have had also students acting, as a way of an example, as assistant to the store manager. It makes sense that students with a background in design might enter as this position for those brands like Cassina, to name one, that are already in the field of interiors and in the field of design. Like students coming from fashion might enter, of course, probably fashion brands, and students from marketing might, on the contrary, see it from a slightly different perspective. So this, for instance, is an example of this very same job position that can, of course, be very different according to the different brands. The brands are also, to get to your second question, are also now facing a very tough period because it's absolutely unpredictable to say what will be 2026 in a year of changes. What we can say is that, as I said before also, luxury is still, let's say, doing fine. So in comparison to many other sectors, they are quite, I would say, they are doing quite well. But as a second thing, I would say that I would never suggest a student to make their plans according to what they can find on the market today, to be honest, because this might be, I would say, probably working over, let's say, the short term to middle term, but not in the long term. So the idea when, let's say, entering a master is, of course, gaining new knowledge, seeing new things, also establishing a network of relationship, which is a long-term investment rather than a short-term investment. Yes, in the short term, you will have an experience inside an internship. During your internship, you will get to know company owners, you will get to know new brands, but I do believe that the best part of any master is always investing in the long term. So new knowledge, of course, new approach, also learning how to become more resilient, which is probably the key word for the year 2026, considering that it's becoming so crazy that resiliency is certainly needed.
Yes, thank you. Then, as a graduate in management, can I apply for this master? And which job profiles could I apply for after the master?
The answer is yes, of course, and we already have several students coming with a background in economics, namely with, let's say, business management, like you are. And then after, so the master, as I told you, will, let's say, probably clarify how the world of design is working. So that is to say, as I said before, that a good quality product is, at least as far as European and Italian luxury are regarded, the very core of a luxury brand. But then in terms of final job, as I said before, this is also depending on what you studied before. So in Europe, we have, for instance, many positions open for a social media manager. So to say, we have also had several students doing this. We have a little module dedicated to social media management during the master. So if this is something that you already experienced and that you further, highlight during the masters, this could be a possible position. But I repeat, there are positions like that one of the store manager. Of course, in the future, you would start, as you can imagine, as an assistant at the beginning. So being the assistant of a store manager is not only dedicated to designers. And yes, we have seen in time that, for instance, if it is a furniture or design brand, they tend to prefer people with a background in design, but it's not compulsory. So it could also be a position totally open also to somebody coming with a background in economics. And we have had also students doing this, coming from outside Italy and now entering and still working within a showroom, because then at the end of the day, working inside a showroom, an international showroom, it's not only about knowing the product. Of course, you will need to know the product quite well.
Okay, then are there any prerequisites required for the course, like any particular software or resources?
No, actually not, because to get to the project works that I previously mentioned, the idea is that every student has to work together with other students by using the softwares that they already know how to use, of course using their skills, their previous skills, but at the same time delivering a concept. That is to say, not being requested a detailed project. You don't need, so to say, to know how to use AutoCAD or Illustrator. You just need to make your ideas, your concept visible. And this is something, of course, that we will help you through in case you were not familiar with this during the master.
Okay. And then, what English language certificate is required to attend the classes? I know the minimum level is B2, but does it matter which certificate it is?
No, actually we don't request a certificate. We request the level, so it's a B2 as you pointed out. And generally there is, of course, let's say an interview, which is also important to assess your level of knowledge, because we are a no native speaker environment, so my English is, let's say, international English. Everybody, also the other students coming from different parts of the world, are in the largest majority non-native English speakers, which means that it's international English. So why is this level required? Because you need to understand, of course, what the professors say and teach during the lectures, and at the same time it's also quite crucial for you to be able to speak with others and to relate with others and to deliver a project.
Okay, so thank you very much. This was the last question. So thank you again for the presentation, and thank you all for staying here with us. Don't leave, but stay tuned for the next presentation. Thank you.